Nickelodeon, one of my favorite television networks growing up as a kid. Whether it was All That or The Amanda Show, this network played a huge role in me developing an interest for improv comedy. And if I think back far enough, I also remember watching Nick Jr., which is a sister network of Nickelodeon that produces shows aimed at younger kids between the ages of 2 to 8. But these days, things are getting a little weird over at Nick Jr., and while some may refer to this weirdness as inclusive, those who are capable of detaching their feelings might prefer to call this a form of indoctrination, and I honestly have to agree with them. Now, first off, if you didn't know, this video is actually part 2 of the Pride series that I'm creating for this channel. So if you haven't watched the first episode, go ahead and watch that before watching this. Trust me, there is a method to my madness. So for today's video, we're going to be discussing the growing trend of drag queens within spaces that don't really make sense, and I'm wording it in this way for a very specific reason. For those that don't know what a drag queen is, allow me to educate you. According to Wikipedia, a drag queen is a person, usually male, who uses drag clothing and makeup to imitate and often exaggerate female gender signifiers and gender roles for entertainment purposes. Historically, most drag queens have been men dressing as women. And since much of society has gotten into the habit of changing definitions when it's convenient for them, I'm gonna go ahead and toss in a second explanation for you. According to dictionary.com, a drag queen is a performer, typically one who was assigned male at birth, whose act involves a stylized and exaggerated interpretation of femininity and plays with stereotypical gender themes. It's also worth noting that drag queens are not the same as being trans, which is what we discussed in my previous video. Transsexuals might dress differently or undergo surgery to permanently embody the opposite sex, while drag queens, on the other hand, mostly do this as a form of entertainment. One of the most prominent drag queens in the mainstream eye, in my opinion, is RuPaul, who's also the creator of the hit show RuPaul's Drag Race. Now, I'm all for freedom of expression, especially as it pertains to art. And this is coming from someone who consistently dressed up for my live streams when I was a performer over on Twitch. But drag is a very different type of artistry, and depending on who you ask, some might take anywhere between an hour to 5 hours to get ready for a performance. Keyword, performance. Let's actually go back and look at these definitions again. Almost every single definition I looked up mentions the phrase performance or entertainer, which are generally professions that you do as a form of entertainment for other people. So things like stand-up comedy, late-night talk show hosts, or even YouTubers would fall into this category. Now, I don't believe that people should be barred from participating in discussions or projects that are outside of their field. For example, celebrities talking about politics, assuming they actually do their research, because otherwise they'd just be another mouthpiece for propaganda, and I could understand why so many people believe that celebrities should stick to doing celebrity things. So when I heard about drag queen story time or drag queen cameos on shows that are advertised to kids, I once again have to ask, why? Why would we as a society want to socialize children with drag queens when drag queens are classified as entertainers or performers? One might say, well, it's to promote inclusion and diversity. Okay, let's go with that. Realistically, how many drag queens do you think the average American encounters on a day-to-day? Personally, I never see them, unless of course I went to a pride parade or a drag show. So if the claim is that Drag Queen Story Hour, for example, is somehow instrumental in promoting diversity and inclusion, then my follow-up question would be, why are people so adamant about promoting diversity for drag queens when they're hardly a part of our day-to-day as it is? Because, as I pointed out earlier, drag is a form of entertainment or performance, and apparently being gay isn't even a requirement, though the field is mostly dominated by them. So I'm a little confused as to why a profession would be under the Pride umbrella in the first place, but also, if construction work was a profession dominated mostly by gay men, would I then expect Nickelodeon to start promoting construction workers during Pride Month? I'm aware that this is a silly analogy, but something to think about. Actually, while we're at it, let's go online and take a look at some of the upcoming drag performances in my area. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and search for drag queen events. So I started with Boston. Let's take a look. We have drag brunch. Okay, let's scroll down. Must be at least 18 years of age to enter. Okay. Let's take a look at another one. Another drag brunch. This event is 21 plus. Let's go back. Let's check out Jello wrestling. Ooh, sounds exciting. 21 plus. All right, let's check out something at a different location. Let's try New York. New York. Here we go. Must be at least 18 years of age to attend. All right, let's try another one. Let's try this one and a drag queen bingo. Let's try that. All right, so let's see. This one doesn't actually say. Oh, right here. 21 and over. All right. You know what? Let's try something on the West Coast, just in case. California. Let's try this show right here. Diva Royale. Okay. Let's see. Age limit 21 plus. All right, let's try another one. Let's go with this one. San Francisco. Okay, I'm just looking at their terms of service here. What's the age for this? What's the age for this? Okay, I have no idea what the age is for this. So I'm gonna assume tickets. Let's see. I don't wanna assume here. I don't know what this is. I actually don't know. All right, so that one, I'm assuming it's 21 plus because it's sponsored by Tequila El Rey. I don't know if that's a drink or a stage name. Do you see the problem? Not only are all of these events 18 plus, drag shows usually are performed within bars, nightclubs, and burlesque venues. You know, places that are generally reserved for adults, which I'd assume is for a very good reason. So at this point, I bring the question back to you. How is this appropriate? And what is the benefit of exposing a child to a profession that's advertised for adults? A child's brain doesn't fully develop until they're around 25, and I know this firsthand because I was still a dumbass at 18. That being said, children are extremely impressionable. You can literally mold them into the person you want them to be, depending on what you expose them to and what you teach them. So this is one of those situations where parents, activists, or allies really need to take their emotions off the table and objectively look at the facts, because there's a phrase that says the road to hell is paved with good intentions, meaning intent doesn't really matter if things still end badly. So if the result of this is causing parents to generalize drag queens in a negative light, or if it's brainwashing the youth to follow Marxist ideology, then the intent of promoting inclusion and diversity is irrelevant. For the record, I don't hate drag performers like Nina West, and I honestly think they're a little misguided. I'd like to believe that most people want to do good in the world, but allow their common sense to be clouded with good intentions or emotion, and even sometimes a paycheck. Even still, I want to encourage people to resist the temptation of generalizing all drag queens over the actions of a few, because a lot of them are actually against this agenda. Like Ryan Woods, the creator of Lady Maga USA, who also views these issues as indoctrination. And before you pause the video to express your disgust for me highlighting a tokenized drag queen, I need you to relax, because your emotions are suffocating your common sense. I'm talking to you, you pompous political commentators. Listen, Do me a favor, before you upload your reaction video to this, just make sure you get me on my good side when creating your thumbnails. Anyways, I actually reached out to Ryan to see if he'd be interested in working together on this video, to which he agreed. So if you happen to be someone that doesn't approve of drag, that's okay. You're entitled to not like something. However, just as I mentioned in my previous video, it might be worthwhile to find a middle ground with people like Ryan. Because if we can unify on the idea that drag queens shouldn't be influencing children, then we can work together to put an end to it. And if you just so happen to be someone that gags every time you hear the word MAGA, I also need you to approach this with an open mind. I am not Republican. In fact, I'm politically homeless, nor have I ever called myself a conservative. However, Ryan and I can relate on a lot of things in terms of how we were treated by people who claim to be tolerant, inclusive, and kind. I hate to break it to you, but being prejudiced or antagonistic towards a person on the basis of their membership of a particular group is the literal definition of bigot. You know, the very thing you claim to fight against. So when you watch the following video, I need you to really let your guard down and listen to what Ryan has to say. This isn't a MAGA recruitment video, and I'll be the last person to persuade strangers to pledge allegiance to any particular political party. Nonetheless, I want you to consider the actions of your side, assuming you're on the left. As embarrassing as it is for me to admit, I used to hate Trump supporters and even ended a friendship with one before ultimately voting for the guy in 2020. Did I randomly wake up one day and decide to vote for a racist homophobe? Did your family, friends, and neighbors all randomly say, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna vote for a supposed dictator today? Or did we stop listening to the opinions of others, like the media, and instead challenge ourselves to hear the other side and form our own conclusion? At least that's what I did. Seriously, if you take a moment to actually have a conversation with a conservative or a Trump voter, you might be surprised just how much you both have in common. Take it away, Ryan.
Why, hello there! My name is Lady Maga USA, as you can see, and I am a conservative drag queen. And when I say conservative, I mean that I love my country, I love my Constitution, I believe in my Second Amendment, and I believe in freedom for all. And that includes religious people who might not necessarily see eye to eye with me and what I do. Whew. I just got back from a huge Republican event here in Utah. Dennis Prager was speaking, and it was so hot. I'm literally sweating like a sinner in church. And you know I know how that feels. I believe that identity politics are absolutely toxic, and I think as Americans, instead of dividing ourselves up by skin color or alphabets like LGBTQIA+, we should just come together as Americans and celebrate what we have in common. And that is what I love about the conservative movement. And that is what I loved about President Donald Trump, is I know that he saw me as an American, not a voting demographic to manipulate the way they do on the left. I am proud of who I am. And it really doesn't have a lot to do with my sexuality. I'm proud of being honest. I'm proud of being a patriot. I'm proud of my drag artistry. I'm proud that I stand up for what I believe in. I'm proud that I'm a good friend and a good brother. And I happen to be gay. I don't make my sexuality my primary identity. I believe that the Democrats and the left manipulate gay people into thinking that we have to be Democrats. I call it the Rainbow Gestapo. And I chose to walk away from the Rainbow Plantation because I felt manipulated into hating my country, supporting radical socialism, and persecuting Christian people who might not see eye to eye with me on homosexuality. I believe that it is our responsibility to defend the freedom, especially the freedom of speech, of all Americans. And that includes Christians who might believe that homosexuality is a sin. In return, I ask that they respect my secular freedoms. And the vast majority of religious conservatives do believe in my right to live freely as I so choose. I would know because I'm with them all the time. I grew up Mormon and I came out of the closet as a gay Mormon, and that was very difficult. However, coming out of the closet as a Trump-supporting drag queen conservative was 100 times more difficult than that. I lost all of my performance opportunities. I lost the vast majority of my LGBT friends, and recently I was fired from Delta Airlines after an impeccable 8-year career as a flight attendant because of my politics. I am slandered and insulted. I'm told that I'm a racist. I'm told that I'm a Nazi. I'm called all kinds of names when in reality, I love people and I want us all to come together as Americans and celebrate our freedom. It is a complete and total myth that conservatives hate LGBT people. I have traveled the United States and I have been to so many conservative events that I can't even count. And the vast majority do not care that I'm a drag queen. And even if they do, they're not rude to me. Where the left, when I came out as a conservative Trump-supporting drag queen, the left crucified me. They doxed me. They reported me to my job. They insulted me. They tried to shut down my events. So in the end, I can honestly say from personal experience with proof that conservatives on the right are twice as tolerant and twice as loving than the left, than the Democrats. Because if you don't buy into their narrative, and if you don't buy into their LGBT rainbow flag militant ideology and you step aside, you are kicked out. You are excommunicated. When I came out as a conservative drag queen in Utah, other drag queens in Utah, their words, not mine, they said, you are excommunicated and you are no longer welcome in any LGBTQ space. Well, when I go to a Trump rally or I go to a conservative event, I am welcomed with open arms. And now I'm glad that I left the radical LGBTQIA community because I have a whole new community of people who don't care that I'm gay. They like that I'm a drag queen and they are my friends because we are Americans together. So I found a whole new family among the people who are supposed to hate me. It's been an incredible journey that I wouldn't trade for the world. And my message to any liberal, leftist, LGBT person out there is please open your hearts and open your minds and start doing your homework. Start researching what real racism is. Start researching what the real consequences of socialism are. Start researching what identity politics do to us as people. You are individuals, and the left loves collectivism. The left tries to push the narrative that we all have to think a certain way if we look a certain way or have a certain skin color or a certain sexual orientation. And we as conservatives say, no. America was founded on individualism, and collectivism is toxic because it takes away your true identity. So if you really want to be free and you really want to be who you are, then question the leftist narrative. Ask yourself, do I really agree with all of the radical policies being pushed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Joe Biden? Or am I just on the Democrat side because I believe conservatives hate me? Or am I just on the left because I hated Donald Trump? Well, that's not a reason to support an ideology. You should go and find out who we are as conservatives and get to know us because, honey, it is fabulous. So God bless America. God bless all of you. And if you're interested in learning about what I do, you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, Lady Maga USA. I wish my leftist friends well. I do not wish them death. I would never send them messages saying, you deserve a noose or you're garbage. No, I disagree with them, but that's kind of the difference between leftists and conservatives. All conservatives have liberal friends and we still love them. But if you come out and say you support Donald Trump or you're a conservative Republican, then suddenly who you are is just completely overlooked and the hatred comes out. And that has been the most painful thing about coming out as a conservative drag queen. So I came out of the closet as a gay Mormon. And then I felt like I was back in the closet as a conservative, America-loving drag queen. So I have just made a vow to myself that I will fight for my Constitution, I will fight for my fellow Americans, and free speech for all, which includes speech that I disagree with. I will fight for our right to keep and bear arms until the day I die, because my pride is American pride. I love my country, and so many people have come before me to allow me this amazing life and all of the beautiful freedoms that I enjoy, including my freedom to be a drag queen. And we have to stand up for freedom because we're losing freedoms right and left in this country. So God bless America. God bless everyone. Give conservatives a chance. And if you want to come hang out with me at a conservative event or a rally, you will see how much love and true diversity there is within the conservative movement. God bless.
As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. My name is Gothix and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!